Strike up the band. Good evening, everybody. Here he is, Alex Dawson, the son of Dyke, the grandson of Frank and Gretchen. He is a sophomore and he is a drummer, East Liverpool Marching Band. Mrs. Cornfield is the band director. And you know me, folks, even back in the days when it was Love You Blue on WOHI, always threw it down to the field for a little halftime entertainment. I love what they do, marching bands. They work just as hard on their formations as do the Potters. Speaking of the Potters, East Liverpool Review, you're going to want to get your hands on it, obviously, for a number of reasons. And I was out at Sheets before I came here today, as I usually am. And here you go, one of Jimmy Joe Savage's pictures from last week when they took on Edison. Tomorrow night back at Patterson Field against Indian Creek. And they are a formidable opponent. It should be a good ball game, and Digger will be there. Speaking of Digger, Dunkin' Donuts, ladies and gentlemen, a little blueberry coffee. Let me just kind of wet the whistle. They're now open 24/7 in Calcutta. Absolutely love it. Great place to stop anytime before or after the game. All-time Potter football outcomes, most memorable games. So let's begin with your all-time Potter football outcomes. And I'll just, for the record again, very quickly remind all of you that I gave my top 10 earlier today in this order. Number 10, Larry Long. Number 9, Alan Blythe. Number 7, Nate Boyd. Number 6, Dan Beatty. Number 5, Kevin Smith. Number 4, Moose Ramsey. Number 3, Bodie White. Number 2, Sean Long. Number 1, Robert Jackson. And the only time I've ever seen him make a clinical error, it happened to be, he said it was weird, but then he corrected himself, said it was Wintersville. It was my most memorable moment as a broadcaster. It happened in October of '86, 5 overtime win against Wintersville, and the legendary Glenn Southern coach, Bobby Thayer, Bob Morris, two of my other favorites. So that's it for me. It's all yours.
Well, we're going to do the all-time Potter team next year in the program. This list we have here tonight, Rob, is in the this year's program. Inside front cover, and we would encourage everyone to buy the program this year because in addition to some wonderful graphics and information, a larger than life picture of the East Liverpool High School marching band is on one side of a poster. It has to be about a 14 by 14, and then on the other side is a picture of the football team. So the programs this year are $5, but you do get this really nice poster picture. Flip side, football team, and the other side is the marching band. So,
okay, these are top plays. I stand corrected.
Yeah, these are the top plays. Now, next year, we're going to do inside front cover. We're going to have the all-time Potter football team.
Nice.
Now, I thought we did it this year. It's on the inside front cover of the top 12 plays of all time and the top 14 most memorable games. And we inserted a line there for people to submit other nominations. We've heard from no one, and no one caught the fact that we put the top Weirton as the opponent in the 5 overtime game instead of Wintersville. I got biased, but even I don't think you ever made a mistake, but I make a lot of them. And,
he can tell a tall tale, folks. I love Digger Dawson. Come on, get to this, please.
Well, if you want to go through that,
you do it all.
All right. Well, of course, let's drop down to the most memorable games. And we said the most memorable game ever was the 14-13 defeat of Warren Harding at Warren, October 16, 1959. Bob Michael, the quarterback in this game, was here last week, and we spent a lot of time. And guess what? He got one of those $100 photo speeding tickets driving by the clock tower, which he wrote the alumni song. And he's also a distinguished alumnus. He's a East Liverpool High School Hall of Fame. So I said, well, that's life. That's what it's all about. So, and that same game, number 12, and a lot of people remember this, Bob Duffy remembers, was when Dave Zelk hit Paul Warfield so hard it really changed the tone of the game. And I'd like to some night here get Paul Warfield on the air. I think that talk about that.
Why don't you bring Larry Zonka while you're at it?
Well, I think we could get a hold of Paul.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, Paul. Those kids were all born in 1942.
So soft spoken.
Do the math. I think they're all 75 years old or something.
Can probably still run an under 540.
Now, Bob Cap, 90-yard run. When you knew Bob and you knew Mike and the family, of course, I never saw the game. Wasn't born yet, but I've heard so much about Bob Cap's interception against Canton McKinley. The ironic thing there, a fan jumped out of and that's before they had restraints, jumped out and tackled Bob. The fan's name was Cheese Molito. It was Ken McKinley fan.
Cheese
and he tackled,
Molito.
and of course, everybody from the marching band to the cheerleaders got in a big brawl after that happened. Jeff Wright's game-winning overtime reception versus Chardon in October 3rd, 97. One of the best catches I ever saw. Coach Bob McNay, who was one of our all-time great coaches, was at that game. He'd long since retired from the staff of Earl Bruce at Ohio State, but he said you could have shot Jeff Wright with a gun. He'd have still caught that ball. Eddie Oliver's 95-yard opening kickoff versus Martins Ferry in 1951, October 26th. The ironic thing there, he did run the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, and there was a penalty. The referee was Al Hartman. He was from Lisbon. He gave Mr. Hartman the ball. He said, Mr. Hartman, you might as well stay down here because I'm going to do it again, and he did. So that was a real thrilling thing. And Eddie also had a 96-yard opening kickoff return versus Wellsville, November 14th, 52. That game was at Wellsville. Fred Monford's 85-yard punt against Wellsville, October 14th, 1904. 85 yards, they were using a rugby-type ball in those days, so there was a little advantage there. Fred's daughter just died at age 103, and Helen Montford, call me every season. Frankie, did anyone break my dad's run? And you couldn't tell 85-yard punt, so
She really did call.
She'd call, and I got to know her real well. She was a wonderful lady, and she was in a nursing home in Florida at the end. Bill Booth's 100-yard pass interception versus Martins Ferry, November 3rd, 33. Again, something.
Let me jump in here real quick.
Go ahead.
I did these things chronological order of East Liverpool football. I did all of them today. They're on YouTube under your Pratt Pack. They're Facebook. I've linked these guys to it. How tragic was that? I mean, and let's face it, you were very, very young. But when Bill Booth died, I mean, that had to be talked about.
Well, he died in 1934.